Morning everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from working out in the garden this morning to give my allergies and sinuses a little bit of a rest, because they've been bugging me a little bit. And if I go out and dig and stuff like that, I was working in there yesterday and I didn't put on a net gaiter, so it's been bugging me some, and I don't want to, if it gets too bad, it can give me a sinus infection, so I don't want to do that. So just going to take a little break, even though I really don't want to take a break because I need to get stuff done. But I'm going to first off show you this book here, Florida's Edible Wild Plants. That's the author right there, and you see right there sea grapes, and that's wood sorrel. Sorry if the plane is a little loud overhead, but this is the book that I would recommend to anybody who's wanting to look at, you know, what can I forage for? You know, it's a good starting point. So I've learned a lot of different plants in that book, and I will take you and show you some today. Starting with right up in here. Gets annoying in the flower bed because I'm trying to keep it, you know, trying to keep the weeds out. Look at here, some kind of skipper butterfly. You can see it feeding off those flowers. The butterflies like the pentas. But so this right here, first example, this is wood sorrel, and this is the part that you can eat. I used to think this was clover because it kind of looks like clover, but it's wood sorrel. If it were allowed to go without me controlling it, it would make little yellow flowers. There's also a variety that makes purple flowers. You can eat both. But if you've ever had cranberry hibiscus, this tastes a lot like cranberry hibiscus. It's very high in oxalic acid, so it has a little bit of a tangy flavor. And it grows everywhere. There's another one back there. It grows everywhere and all over the place in at least here. I think it grows all over Florida, but see, there's more. It grows everywhere. But this would be a nice little thing you could add to like a salad or a sandwich, or possibly like in a soup or something. It gives it that kind of a little bit of a tang. And I've tried one. It does taste good. It does. Like I said, if you've ever had cranberry hibiscus, it tastes a lot like cranberry hibiscus. That same kind of sour, tangy flavor, which is good. Speaking of cranberry hibiscus, I put some lemongrass down, but. So yeah, that's cranberry hibiscus, and it tastes a lot like that. So we'll come over here and talk about another very, very common. Actually, I'm going to take you back over here because there's more of it. And it's a very, very common plant in Florida. I've talked about it before, and that is shepherd's needle, or shepherd's hook, or Spanish needles. I usually call them Spanish needles. Now, the flower is attractive to a lot of insects, you know, a lot of butterflies and bees and stuff here. But what you can eat are the leaves, and it's best to get the smaller ones as opposed to these larger ones. But these you need to cook. I don't think that it's because you can't eat them raw. I think it's because they don't taste good raw. So, you know, if you're going to get it, and look, it's caterpillars like it and everything. If you're going to eat the Spanish needle leaves, cook them down. I think kind of like you would like a spinach. You could also, I think, saute them or something like that. And it makes, I've never done it just because I just don't really eat a whole bunch of stuff like that. but it is extremely common, and you can use the greens. And I'll show you why they're called Spanish needles or shepherd's needles, shepherd's hooks, whatever. And this is why. This is a flower that has gone to seed. And if you can see right over my thumbnail, not thumbnail for the video, my actual thumbnail, there's a little seed, and it's got those two little, almost looks like antennae. And that is why they call it that, because those, if you brush up against it with your clothes or anything like that, I'll give you an example. They grab onto your clothes. And this is how they spread. You know, if there are birds or anything that come along and brush up against the seed heads. Here's a bunch of them. Birds or anything that come along and brush up against the seed heads, or animals, it'll get caught in their feathers or in their fur, and then as they go along, it will spread them around, and we'll have more Spanish needles. But you can see it gets really pretty tall. I mean, this plant right here is about my height, so it gets pretty tall. Really, I need to come in here and thin some of this out, because you can see it's getting into my Barbados cherry tree over here. But that's another very common wild edible. Let me see if I can find some more. I may not be able to actually find something that you can actually eat, but I can show you a plant of something you can eat. This right here is not something you can eat. I don't think it's particularly toxic, but I just don't think you can eat it. That's skunk vine. It's a pretty little flower. This, that yellow flower right there, is bitter gourd, also called bitter melon. It is edible and is used a lot in Asian cuisines. As the name says, the fruits that it produces, I don't see any in here, but the fruits that it produces are bitter. This is a wild variety. You can see it growing up in there too. It grows pretty prolifically in here. This is the leaf. That's what it looks like. And like I said, that's the flower. But it makes, I can smell that skunk vine. It makes, more than likely, if you are in Florida, you've seen the fruit that it makes. It's this bright, kind of orangish yellow fruit. And eventually it'll open up, and the inside there are these really, really bright red seeds. And you can use it. I don't know how to use it. I know you just don't want to eat it, because it is, like the name says, it's very bitter. But I know that it has medicinal properties, and that they use it in Asian cuisine. So I would recommend, if you're going to use bitter melon, to look up how it's used in Asian cuisine and do it that way. There's a cool little spider right here. See that? It's an arrowhead spider. Whoa, he just fell off his web. Maybe I scared him. Oh well, sorry little spider. But let's see here. I know that there is, here's something that you should never eat, and you can buy this at any Home Depot or Lowe's or most of your nurseries, because it's a very sought after flower. Butterflies love it, that sort of thing. It's Lantana. It grows wild out here, but I don't think it was wild originally. I think it was introduced because people like it for ornamental, and it just took off because it's very prolific. But very pretty flowers. Like I said, the butterflies love it, but it makes a little berry, and I don't think any of these have any berries on it yet. But it makes a little berry that is toxic. I think everything about the plant is toxic to humans, but you know, just don't eat it. Just admire it, because it does make a pretty flower. especially when you get like a big, some of these will be so big you'll get these big clusters of flowers. They're very pretty. Here's a plant that I've talked about before. This right here, you can see all those thorns. This is what a lot of us call, oh look, there's another one of those arrowhead spiders. That's a type of orb weaver. But anyways, this is what a lot of people around here will call wild blackberry. I think there are wild blackberries, but I think this plant is actually dewberry. But it makes a blackberry type berry that's very good to eat, but it's extremely full of seeds. But we don't care, we eat it anyways. It makes very good jam. I mean, just to go along and pick it and eat it, it's just very good. Very good. Tastes a lot like a blackberry or a mulberry or something like that. Here's a, it's not wanting to focus, but that is not a black widow, that is a orchard orb weaver. Those are very pretty spiders if you ever look up close. Their abdomens are red and green and blue and all sorts of colors, and they're really pretty. I'm pretty sure all this vine grown in here is skunk vine. There's of course the air potato, which is also toxic. It didn't used to be, but for some reason or another, or I guess being in the wild long enough has made it go back to being toxic. I'll show you real quick. There's a section of the lemongrass that I cut down, and that's how tall it's gotten. It's about as tall as me. But that's why I planted lemongrass, because I want to be able to let it grow up tall and then chop it down and use it for mulch, let it grow back up, chop it down, because that's what grass does. And let me see if I can get in. Maybe he won't run away. There's a little green anole right there. A little, he must be young because he's small. I love the little lizards like that. But let's see what else we can find around in here. This is what's left of a Caesar weed, and this right here is how it spreads. These little burrs. I hate this stuff. It's a pretty little flower, and butterflies will eat at it, but it's just noxious. It's everywhere. See all this in here with anything. This is what the leaf looks like, and so all that in there is Caesar weed. It's everywhere, and it just takes over, and that's the problem with it. Let's check on my Thai mulberry. Something's eating at the leaves, and I don't know what. It's probably those silkworms, but I can't see any. Culprits. Hopefully it will survive. It looks okay. Everything's still green. Let me also check, and I'll show you where I've planted. I planted one of the dragon fruit here. I'm gonna have to tie that up again more. But I put this, I had made this originally, or this was made originally, to go around pineapple. But this to me is more important, so I'm sacrificing it to use here. That way, because last time when I planted something out here, just dug it up more than once, and eventually I couldn't plant it anymore because I don't know, I couldn't find it. So I put that around it to protect it. Hopefully it'll take root and grow, and we'll have some yellow dragon fruit, because I really like it. My poor peach tree. Hopefully it's just, having to get over shock. But it wasn't in the best of health when I bought it, and I shouldn't have bought it because I got ripped off. But you live and learn. And here's the pineapple. It still has to ripen. It's not probably going to get any bigger than that, but it's got some ripening to do. Here's a plant that's one of the most toxic plants, at least in Florida, if not in the United States. And I'm not just saying that, I mean that's the truth. This is, and I've talked about it before, this is Rosary Pea. I don't see any of the seed pods on here, but I know that that's what this vine is. It's the pea itself that's extremely toxic. extremely toxic. Basically, if you eat one and the seed itself is extreme. There's some right there. The seed itself, those red things are the seed. The seed itself is extremely hard, so it's hard to crack it. But if you were to put it in your mouth, and this is more especially for kids who usually like to play with them, I know my kids used to, but if you were to put it in your mouth and crack open the seed and swallow it, you're pretty much a goner. And I'm not saying that lightly. That is, from everything that I've read about Rosary Pea, that's pretty much the case. If you were to crack open the seed, there have been people who have swallowed, or kids who have swallowed the seeds and didn't crack them open, and it went through, the seed is so hard that it went through their digestive system and it didn't cause any issues. But if you can get it cracked open and you swallow it, then it's not going to be good for you. So if you ever see Rosary Pea, don't let your kids play with it. That would be my recommendation. This right here is something that a lot of people call it a stinging nettle, but it's not really a stinging nettle. It's called a tread softly. You can see those little hairs on the stem. They have some kind of poison on them, but not like poison that's going to make you sick. It's a poison that if you touch it and it gets in your skin, it hurts. I mean, it hurts pretty bad. It burns. And I was pulling weeds one day and I didn't realize that there was one, and I reached down and grabbed, and all of a sudden my hand was just on fire. And it feels like hot fiberglass is all in your hand. And so yeah, that's why we just call them stinging nettles, just because it stings if you get them in you. And I don't think you can eat those, because nettles you can. Nettles can be used, especially for medicinal purposes, but I don't think the tread softlies are the same thing. There's a Rosary Pea that's fallen out. You can see they're really pretty, and actually I think in Jamaica they use them to make jewelry, but they're very, very, very toxic. Let me come back over here. Oh, got a little squirrel friend over here that's digging up a acorn it's buried or something. Show you something that I have shown before, but I will show it again because it is a wild edible. Let me find it. There it is. The beautyberry. Now these have not turned purple yet. They're still growing. And this is the leaf. And it is not very good to eat just by itself, but you can make a good jam out of it. I've heard you can make a wine with it. I've never tried that. I'm not a wine person. But I've heard that you can do that. And I've had some luck with using the leaves as mosquito repellent. You can pull the leaves off and rub them on your legs, your arms, whatever. And it has I feel like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on how thick the mosquitoes are. But beautyberry is very common in Florida. You can see the damage from the air potato beetles. Let's see what else we can find. I'm sure there's some more. My poor sweet potatoes I planted over here can't win for losing. Every time they get started good, a rabbit comes and eats them. But my passion vine is just going berserk. There is a wild variety of passion fruit in Florida. I don't have any around here, but they call them maypop, and they call them maypop because if you I think like if you were walking and you accidentally stepped on one, it pops. So that's where it gets its name. But they are a smaller fruit. They don't turn purple. I think they turn yellow. And I think they're more sour than a cultivated passion fruit. Just looking around in here, all this in here is mostly the air potato. But I'm just coming over here too to check on my vanilla. Seems to be, that one finally seems to be finding something to crawl on. And that one's doing well, it's crawling. I haven't tied it up, so hopefully, I don't know if I'll need to or not, but hopefully it will be okay to not be tied up. Can't really find anything else. And you can see all this Rosary Pea growing in here. It grows everywhere. Unfortunately, there's so much of it, I wouldn't be able to just get rid of it, but I tell my kids, just don't mess with it, don't even play with it. You know, it's not going to hurt you if you don't crack the seed and swallow it, but I just don't even want to take a chance. So I just tell them, just don't even play with it. Because it's just not something to mess around with. Oh, here's one, and I've shown this before too. Poke plant, pokeweed is what we call it. There's the pokeberry. It makes a pretty little stem and berry, but you can't eat it at this point. It would be toxic, not toxic enough to kill you, but it'd make you sick. But you can, and I see the base of it, but I don't see any smaller plants. You can harvest it when the plant is like a shoot, really, really small. When you want to get it really small, and you can make poke salad. I've never done it. I don't have any interest in doing it, but you can do it. It's a southeastern dish. You have to cook it, but you know, you can make a poke salad, but it has to be the small shoots. It cannot be the big plant like that. Once it's big like that, if you eat it, it will make you sick. And let me see if I can find, there was a plant in here that was very interesting, and I don't know if I can find it now. It may not be here anymore. May have gotten choked out by all the air potato plants and all these rain trees growing in here. Ugh. Sorry, something scared me. It was a bunch of doves flying away, but all I heard was their wings flapping, and it almost sounded like a rattle, and I thought I'd come across a rattlesnake. Man, that scared me pretty good. But anyways, I'll show. There's some plants in here. This tree right here, this is a wild orange. You can tell by the gigantic, that's my index finger, so it's about the size of my the top part of my index finger. The thorns on them are huge. There's actually a couple right there. You can see a couple hanging there. Yeah, those are wild oranges. There used to be, out in this field out in front of my house, used to be an orange grove, and what a lot of people will do, what a lot of citrus growers, here's another one. You can see anytime you see a tree with those giant thorns like that, that's what the leaf looks like. That is a sour orange tree, or that's what we call them, sour orange tree, but it's a wild orange. But what they'll do is they'll take the rootstock, they'll plant the sour orange trees, or they'll plant lemon trees, which have a hardier rootstock. They'll plant them, let them get to a certain size, cut them, and then graft on a sweet orange. And then you'll have the hardier rootstock of the sour orange or the lemon. That will, you know, it takes the winter better here. It takes the harsher summers and stuff like that better here, and the soil conditions and everything. It takes them better here than just a sweet orange tree. Sweet orange trees are a little bit more sensitive, so they'll do that. So you have a wild orange tree. They'll cut it. They'll graft on a sweet orange tree, and then it will take and it will grow. So you'll have the rootstock of the sour orange or the wild orange or the lemon, because you can do it with lemons too. And then you'll have the tree itself will be a sweet orange tree. And that's how they normally have done it, how citrus growers here have normally done it. However, now the problem is we've got the citrus greening, which is pretty much destroyed our citrus industry. They're experimenting with some things to try to hang on, but it has done a number on our citrus industry. Here is what I think is possibly saw palmetto. I think, now I'm not going to say this for sure because I don't know exactly for sure, but I think this is the palm that you can use to get hearts of palm, and you have to basically well, there are two varieties. There's one variety that you actually have to kill the tree to get to the heart. Then there's another variety that you can use that you can get to the heart and almost just kind of take it off of the tree. But the tree, you don't completely kill it. It'll keep growing, and you can keep harvesting and growing and harvesting. So I don't think I've ever had hearts of palm personally, but I know you can use it to make that. You can buy hearts of palm in a can at the store. But I'm pretty sure that you can get it from that palmetto that grows in there. And they'll be scattered throughout. You can see them. There's some in there. There's some there. There's some over here. They'll just be scattered throughout. And especially if you live in a really scrubland area in Florida, the palmettos are everywhere. They really like that environment. I think that's about all that I can show. There's a whole bunch more in that book that I showed you, but not everything in that book is around my house, so I can't show you everything, but I highly recommend getting that book. Dadgum raccoons have made a mess over here. My ginger looks really good, but here's more Spanish needles. But yeah, I highly recommend getting that book if you're interested in, foraging for some things, or just knowing what's out there. I haven't really foraged for anything, but I know what's out there and what's available. So I know what I can forage. That's a really, really good book to get. Oh, let me show you another one. This over here, it's called sword fern. This is another one of those things that people bought them for ornamental purposes, and they just take off. Now, you can't eat this, but if you come in here and pull it up, which is very easy to pull up, here we go. These little tubers right here, those can be eaten. And that's also how you know that it's a sword fern. One of the ways you know it's a sword fern. But those can be eaten. You can eat them raw. They're not very good raw. I've tried them. They almost just taste like lettuce. Or you can roast them, and because the book tells you a way that you can roast them, and they almost become almost like a nut, from what I can tell. But I have not tried roasting them because I have not come through here and tried to pull up enough to get to roast, because I just have been lazy and I haven't done it. I'd like to try it, but I just haven't. But you can eat those little tubers. And the thing about sword fern is it's so prolific that, I mean, it'll pop up anywhere and spreads like crazy. So because we have it all over the place in here. And I'm trying to find, here's something. Now the flowers are closed right now, but this is called a 4 o'clock. It's called a 4 o'clock because at about 4 p.m. the flowers start to open, and the actual name is Marvel of Peru. They're really pretty flowers, and they smell really nice. There's nothing, you can't eat them or anything, but they're very pretty and they smell really nice. But we usually have a lot thicker lantana over in this area, but I can't seem to find any right now. It may have gotten overgrown. All this stuff in here, it's called goose-footed plant. I don't think you can do anything with that. But But yeah, I highly recommend that book because it's a way that, like I said, even if you're not actively foraging for anything, it's a way that you can get to know what you can forage. This right here is a big lantana plant. It's a way for you can find things to forage, and you can try things. You can, I don't know, necessarily if you can live off of a lot of the stuff in there, but you can at least add some things to your cuisine and might be able to spice things up a little bit. I know one of the things they talk about is Seminal Pumpkin in that book. Now, I've never seen it growing wild, but apparently it can, because I think it can volunteer. And, of course, I plant it. There's another thing called Citron, which is almost like I think it's a type of melon. I've never seen that either. I wouldn't mind trying that, but I haven't seen it. Real quick, this here, I got some Mexican sunflower cuttings from a friend of mine's wife, who just gave me a whole bunch of it. I put some out in the garden, and I put some here to try to get it to take. I stuck we had some green onions, and I took the bottoms that we didn't use, and I stuck them in here because they'll just keep growing. And this is the other dragon fruit. I'm keeping one in a pot, and I put one out there in the soil, in the ground, because I didn't want to lose both of them like I did last time. So I put one in the pot to be more protective of it, and then I put one out there. So both of them are still here for now. But that is pretty much it for today. I just wanted to show, I've been talking about showing, a wild edible thing. Again, this is the book. There's the author. That's her there. I highly recommend it if you want to know more about how to grow, or how to look for things you can eat in the wild around here. So, but that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share, and help me grow this channel. And until next time, thanks again.